We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night edition, whatever night of the week it is,
It's some
of the
night.
Keeper's Corner podcast. Brandon, how we doing?
You know, it's bittersweet. You know, we've had a fun season, and unfortunately, after this weekend, we will be seeing the regular season come to a close.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a fun season, but sad to see it coming to an end.
Yeah, time sure does fly when you don't get a home game until after Christmas. And
That's literally the same thing I said in a post in the box today. Is just like, it feels like we had a very dense season of a lot of games all at once because we basically we had one less month of home games. That's how it felt like.
yeah, I mean, we're playing 6 games in 3 weeks. A quarter of the season combined into less than a month.
Yeah.
Over a 4-month season. So yeah, it's been. I mean, at least we got Baltimore with their 3 games this weekend to finish the year. But
that would definitely suck.
Yeah. Well, hello to chat as well. Hope everybody's doing well out there tonight. Don't mind me. I'm just little disassociaty. Gotta do my best.
He's tired.
Yeah,
He's really tired.
That's an understatement. I slept like 11 hours and I had to fight to not take a nap this afternoon.
And I'm just perky and alert and ready to go.
Aren't you just a ray of sunshine?
And this is after an 8-hour day of work.
On this cold and not yet snowy, maybe snowy again tonight.
God, it was
March
snowing
day.
so much in Rome when I was down at work. It was just, it was, you would have thought that it was the middle of January again.
Brandon, do you know the last time we had this much snow in Boonville? Because I found the historical data and I'm like, oh, this is old.
I think somebody told me, but why don't you let let the class know?
So, for those not living in our snow band this year, this has been the snowiest winter of the 2000s. The 16th snowiest winter since record keeping began at the end of the 40s and start of the 50s. And we've had over 230 inches of snow. So just shy of 20 feet.
It's been a ridiculous year.
Yeah.
It really has. I mean, I don't remember getting this much snow since I was a kid. Like,
what I know, I think you're a couple years older than me. What year were you born?
88. So
the last winter that we had this much snow was the winter of 87 into 88.
See, we lived down in Mohawk when I was first born. Yeah.
Mohawk, we're Mohawk than you.
We lived there till I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 or something like that, and then we moved up here when I was when I went into kindergarten. So that was, I don't know. I started kindergarten late since I was born in November. It was that weird time where it's like you could start early or you could start late, and we chose for me to start late. So
see, I got that early one because I got that October.
Yeah,
Gleo, that's quite a bit of snow. Like, I've been getting targeted ads for Canada lately, and one of them is like a specific city. Move here, we have like 7,000 job openings. And just for tee-hees and ha-has, I Googled it just to see what kind of snowfall they got. You're like, yep, London, Ontario gets heavy winters. They average 76 inches of snow. And I'm like, that's half of what we average. That sounds wonderful.
And that was about a third of what we got this year.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Well, since I'm not going to say where, but I know where Gleo is, and let's just say not somewhere that's typically getting a lot of snow across the pond. So
That's fair. So, Brandon, we had 2 games this past weekend. Rematches for the final times against the Heat and the Blast,
hmm
just in reverse order, but at the same location or locations as the week
yeah,
before.
yeah.
And they had very similar outcomes.
Yes, they did. Really similar. It was very, very reminiscent of your title of rinse and repeat for last week's episode.
Yeah,
It was literally like like a rinse and repeat of the week before, with minor alterations, but
yeah.
not much. Should have just predicted the same thing. Honestly, we probably
You
would
know,
have
I almost did. I almost did.
been.
Um, yeah, Friday night was the one that we all had circled there as the night that Utica would clinch their playoff berth, and didn't disappoint.
No, they did not. I was just a little worried, but
Mm-hmm.
because when there's that much pressure, it's like, what happens? Do they step to it or do they collapse?
Yeah.
In a game that, on paper, they should typically win,
Mm-hmm.
and they did.
Yeah, that they did. They won 11-6. Um, was a little bit closer than you would have liked to start off, but things opened up, and then Utica never looked back.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a back and forth for like the first quarter, and then they just poured it on,
Mm.
and that was about all she wrote.
Yeah, Brandon, we'll get right into it. We'll get our stat and our play. Do you got your stat that tells the story for this one?
So in this one, um, this was definitely it showing by the scoreboard. It was a pretty offensive affair.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if you look at basically our shots versus how many goals we got, we almost had a 50% on our shot to goal conversions. Because I literally just had it up and then it just went away. No, come back. We had 24 shots and 11 of those scored. So just shy of a 50%
Mm-hmm.
on shots taken to goals scored, which is in my opinion pretty darn good. I mean, this has definitely been, this is touted as a very offensive team, and sometimes we don't see it. This game we did, and they were accurate. That was one of the key things is, I feel like we don't usually see anywhere near 50%.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of attempts, not a lot of conversions.
Right. Yeah, here's mine. Pretty simple. It's Nilton D. Andrade, or as Baltimore likes to call him, DeAndrandy Day, Andre, Andrew. It changes every time.
Hey, in fairness,
Brad
I
gets
don't,
it right. Paul,
I
not so
don't,
much.
I don't know. Well, actually, I was actually going to say one against us.
Yeah.
I don't know if everyone around the league has just been mispronouncing Ozzy's last name,
Mm-hmm.
but if they haven't, Bigsy does it too,
Yeah.
because he was calling him a nong or
Yeah.
something like that when I was rewatching the broadcast. So we're guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not perfect. It was good to
The
hear him
Utica
back on the mic
broadcast
though.
this year have been bottom of the
Yeah.
bottom four. It's really disappointing to see. But Nilton 4 goals, Amati 3 goals. They outscored the Heat themselves 7-6.
Yes, they did. Now it was nice to see Nilton really in the driver's seat. He's one that we've wanted to see more of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Amadi, since he's come up, man, he has just been one to watch. And he's going to continue to be so, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amati's really starting to find his groove. Third star of the match, Manny Silva, goal and assist in this one.
Yep.
Um, he'd go on to have 2 goals the next night. Yeah, he's started to get to the point where you're like, okay, is he starting to climb the depth chart? Do you see
Yes.
him climb above Keaton and Ronnie potentially? Because results speak for themselves.
Yeah, they really do. You know, uh, actions on the field are going to, uh, you know, they're only going to help you if you're producing.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty simple for me.
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward one. I
Would
mean,
two guys beat a team? That's all it takes sometimes. Especially when it's a 6 goal game, it's not like someone in two guys up in Milwaukee putting up enough to beat Texas when Texas only scores 2 goals.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not as impressive, but
Which, speaking of goals, before we move
mhm,
on to the next one, do have to shout out Maldini because he did get his first career MASL goal
mhm.
in Utica, just not for Utica. So, for those that don't know, Maldini Goncalves was loaned to the Harrisburg from Krasnik. So, um, yeah, he ended up scoring his first career goal in the MASL on Friday. I may or may not have encouraged him to go for it before the game. I may take a little bit of fault on that one for them getting an opening goal
Mhm.
because of him. I quite literally told him, I'm like, if you score it against us, you score it against us. Just do it. I want to see your first goal. And he did
Oh,
it.
just because of the work situation, I was late to get out there. It was already
Yeah.
2-1 when I got out there, and unfortunately, the broadcast also was late to
Yes.
get out there, so I have not seen that goal.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was nothing crazy, but it was, just a nice pass into the middle and bam.
Like the broadcast picks up on YouTube, just or starts on YouTube right after the first media timeout.
I
So
I saw that when I was reviewing it earlier. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on.
yeah, so
And
probably a good thing then that San Diego's got playoffs this year.
mm, also here we're giving you to we're paying Harrisburg to take you. So
All right, play the change the game. I think it's pretty simple for me. It's the overturned goal challenge.
ah.
It would have given Baltimore the lead again, and instead it turned into a 5 goal run for Utica. Gordy tied it at 3-3. It would have put or Harrisburg. I said Baltimore, didn't I? Man,
There
they got
you
to stop putting these.
go.
We play these teams 6 times each. They put them back to back. They just turn into the same thing.
Like I knew exactly what you were talking about, but all of a sudden you threw me off and you're like Baltimore. What?
Would have it 5 goal run. Gordy sparked it again. Second
Yes.
time in 2 games against Baltimore that he did that. Um, but it would have put Harrisburg. I said Baltimore again, didn't I?
No, you're good.
No,
You're good.
no, okay. It would have second time in 2 games. Yeah, I didn't say against. Okay. Anyway, would have put Harrisburg up 4-3, and instead you kind of watched the wheels fall off from the coaching box.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Uh, you know, right there, goal taken away. A couple minutes later, Dos Santos bumps into Vinny in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure how that wasn't a penalty shot for the foul in the box. I guess severity played a role. I don't
Yeah,
really understand that.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, it wasn't like a huge. It wasn't It was a bump, but it wasn't like a
Intentional.
heavily intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, that's someone that has to suck it in quite a bit when moving around the kitchen. Dos Santos, you, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Or watch something else and don't. But I'll say it. Vinny sold that one. Vinny absolutely sold that one.
You know, I don't know. So I kind of told you a little bit about this earlier, but I don't know why, but all of a sudden a lot of old school MASL videos have been coming up. And one of
Hmm.
the ones that I did watch that I didn't tell you was I watched the 2017 Ron Newman Cup final, which was Soles de Sonora against the Baltimore Blast in
Hmm.
Sonora. And if you haven't watched that, I know people may around here might not like Baltimore, but it's beside the point. It's a wild game. Like you have on Soles, you've got Frank Tayu, you've got Mauricio Salas, you've got Christian Segura, bunch of old Utica guys, and then on Baltimore, this is why I brought this up, was because you have Vinny, you have Nelly, you have a very young and much different looking Dos Santos than
Hmm.
we have nowadays. I literally was like half the game trying to get a zoom in of him to see if it was really him. And I was just like, man, these guys have changed a lot in 5 years. Some of them. Um,
Do the math again on that one, Brandon.
Sorry, not 5 years, 8 years.
It's been almost a decade.
Yeah, it has. I don't know
It's
why
been
I thought.
almost 7 years since Utica was announced as a team.
Yeah, which is crazy because that means that this was like the year before.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I keep thinking that we haven't been in the league that long, which we still haven't been in for 10 years. We're still got a long way to go compared to some of these other clubs,
Yeah.
but we've been in for a bit as Utica. I know, not counting the Silver Knights era,
Hmm.
which I also watched some of those old games too. So I don't know why. If you ever if you get a longing to watch games after the season wraps up and after the playoffs and the finals, go watch some old MASL games. Like go watch some old Silver Knight stuff. It's really interesting. It's really good. It's really fun to watch. Quality's not there, but
Hmm.
beside the point. Anyway, sorry. I just
Yeah.
I wanted to go on a tangent and
We we live for tangents,
yeah.
but we still need your play that changed this game.
Um, it was from downtown Milton De Andrade's hat trick goal. That was so pretty and really hyped up the crowd, which of course helps to motivate the guys.
Hmm.
When you have somebody, I mean, we always talk about like Christian Segura's halfway goal behind the yellow line or um, Steph's goal from similar. I mean, this was beyond half court that he just chips that thing right in and poop right in. Like that was just it was so pretty and it was a great goal.
Yeah, second time in 2 weeks that Silva's gotten burned on a long bomb.
Hey, I mean, Andrew almost got burned on one this weekend too. But that was in Baltimore.
Yeah, not as impressive at Baltimore.
Not as impressive, but still
It's
almost
still,
happened.
yeah.
But yeah, that I had to go with that. Like that one was just being there and watching that. I mean, you were there, but you know what I mean. Wait,
Now I was back at the kitchen at that point.
yeah, that's right. But yeah, that was just like it was really a kind of invigorating goal, not just for them but for us.
Did I
So
have the phone open? Was I watching on my phone? Is nothing's going on anyway? Yeah. But
of course,
all right. Yeah, they wrapped it up 11-6, and that's that. So then we head down to Baltimore. Both teams with tough
it does
travel.
complete the sweep for the third year in a row.
Second,
I thought it was three.
we lost 5-4 in overtime. One game 3 years ago.
Hmm. For some reason, I thought that was 3 years in a row.
It's our 12th straight win. We're 17-1 against them in the Everton era. That one loss was a Shane Butler refereed game
Oh, okay.
where they didn't award the shootout after Bo got taken down in overtime.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I must have wiped that one from my memory.
Yeah, that's fair. Then Saturday, we go down Baltimore. Baltimore flies in from Milwaukee. Both teams tired, legs tired, and yet we still had another offensive game from both sides. Um, I'll take stat on this one first since you had it last time.
Yeah.
And in a 9-7 loss, the stat that tells my story is 6 players on Baltimore's roster had multiple points. That's a lot of guys to contribute
Yeah.
more than once to a win. Complete total team victory for them.
Yeah. I mean, they, for the team that you'd think was more tired, they
Hmm.
did not play like it.
No, because you would expect that they would. I heard at Golden Boars their flight was at like 5:30 in the morning. So you're up to be to the airport as soon as things open up, usually about 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to fly back, warm up, get ready for a 7 o'clock game. Not an easy thing to do.
No, it really wasn't. So, obviously they didn't travel with everyone. We know that
Right.
they didn't, they didn't use the same keeper both nights and things like
Yep.
that. But still, I mean, they definitely showed a lot of heart, honestly, in and cardio to
Yeah.
really push that one home.
I mean, I'll be honest. The flight, being up to catch a flight that early isn't fun, but you're only on a plane for 2 hours versus crammed in a bus or vans for 5.
Right.
I'll,
It's a
I'll
little bit
take
more
the plane
comfortable.
anytime,
Yeah.
even if it is coach.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a little bit more comfortable.
Hmm.
So I take you want mine.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this one was a tough one to find a stat for.
Yeah, I mean, because it is for the most part pretty down the middle.
Hmm.
I mean, the only reason that the score is what it is just some bad mistakes. Um, but I guess this one really is tough. Like, I think this is the only thing I didn't collect for like the whole thing, and I think it's because I couldn't find one. So maybe that's kind of a stat in itself. Just the
Look at the
fact
save rate for
I
goalkeepers.
already did. It's pretty close too. It's literally 60% compared to 70%. It's not that far away.
That's still a couple goals.
It's still fine. I guess I'll fall back on the save percentage. I mean, so both of these guys, Andrew Coughlin and uh, Julian Rodriguez, better known as Scott Sterling. Sorry. Listen, he didn't take a soccer ball to the face, but he did get kind of trampled in this one. So he's continuing the head injuries, and he needs to stop it. Um, but I mean, both of them had 22 and 23 shots against, respectively.
Hmm.
Julian getting just that one additional shot against. But Julian was able to pull off 16 saves on those 23 shots, while Andrew was only able to do 13 saves on those 22 shots. So because of that, Andrew Coughlin does end up getting the 59%, whereas Julian gets the 69%, just shy of that 70.
Nice.
I knew that was coming. I knew. I knew. I'm
You got a play that changed the game?
not talking to you anymore.
Well, that kind of makes this really hard. We'll have to like go to the bullpen and call in
just,
Huber.
just AI my voice.
No, no, never.
um, honestly, I think the play that kind of changed this for me was I I had one for Utica and I had one for Baltimore.
Hmm.
Um, because the one that kind of made me feel like that Utica was in this, was really trying, even though things did not look great, was the fact that we went up two to
Hmm.
start. We were not chasing initially, while other times we do. So it's technically the combination of the first two goals as the play.
Yeah.
But that's what kind of did it for me, was the fact that we did go in and start off strong. Unfortunately, it just didn't hold for the rest of the game. So, you know, for me, it was just nice to not be chasing right out of the gate. I mean, we
Hmm.
held that lead for, we held that lead for almost, 12 minutes, or a little bit over 12 minutes. So, I mean, that was kind of nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay. Yeah, it was a nice change of pace. No pun intended. That we got out to an early lead.
Yeah.
However, I guess I'm gonna go. You're gonna say that changed it for Utica. I'm gonna say there's really a play that changed the game and a play that lost the game.
Okay.
And the one that changed it was the giveaway in our defensive end in the second quarter that led to the first Welly Ramus goal,
Mm,
which tied it at two. Like, well, you went up two, now you've coughed up the lead.
oh, yeah. Okay. I was gonna say
Or
not the
sorry,
one
the
that
Chad Porch one. The Chad Porch
I
one.
was gonna say.
Welly was the next one.
Chad Porch tied it, and
Yeah. He had
Ramus.
the takeaway, gave it to Pereiras, then Pereiras found him on a give and go, and yeah,
Yes.
you quickly coughed up your lead. Um, and then really, yeah, that certainly helped them get back. It was part of a 4-0 run for Baltimore.
Yep.
But the one that lost it is the defensive clearances that happened within a minute of each other in the third quarter. That on the first one, where the ball went to Pereira
Yep.
and Santana went way out wide to cover Pereiras
Yep.
and just left Pereira wide open at the top of the box.
And then they rinsed and repeated, but
50
flipped
seconds
it up.
later, and the first one is a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Pereira is obviously more dangerous in that situation because he's closer to the goal
Yes, he
with a
is.
better angle.
Yep.
On the second one, they fake it to Pereira, goes out wide, and Pereira just hits a worm burner
Yeah, he
that
does.
I'm very certain Coughlin wanted back.
Yeah. That was
There was
actually my play
not
that changed the game in favor of Baltimore, was that particular one right there.
like those two poor defensive plays after poor defensive clearances
Yeah.
cost Utica the game. And it's not that it's, oh, Nelson covered the wrong guy both times. It's that the first one's a head scratcher, and the second one, you're like, Andrew, you've made some good saves. Really needed to get a hand on that one.
That was not one of them.
No. But you just tied it up, and now, 5 minutes later, you're back down two.
Yeah.
That kind of wrapped it up there. They went on to lose 9-7. I mean, kudos for not giving up an empty netter.
Yes. We did not give up an empty netter. And so the fact that sixth attacker was beneficial to us was
Mm-hmm.
nice. It's nice to see. So we've
Yeah.
definitely struggled with that.
Yeah. So, question becomes, what needs to change coming out of this weekend before the final two games of the season?
We have been doing better on offense.
Mm-hmm.
We have started to see that our roster has become more filled out again with the return of Vinny and the play of Gordy at least one night. That's becoming more frequent, because for a while it was 50-50 if you'd see him on
Mm-hmm.
any given weekend. So that's nice. I think we need to shore up the defense again. because we have definitely gotten a little sloppy
Hmm.
on defense. We've seen some additional bad passes. We've seen the resurgence of, some bad clearances, which, equally as bad. So it's great that we're trying to clear it. We just need to clear it better.
Hmm.
So I think we just need to kind of shore up the defense a little bit more, um, so that we can, prevent more of that and maybe take some of the weight off of Andrew. So
Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the season. Defense was looking better, um, but since Logan went down and that defensive line already got thinner,
yeah,
that was the end of January, and this defense has become more porous. So you see the trade for DMC, and you're like, okay, it's not a huge needle mover,
mm-hmm.
but it is security on the back line, and he hasn't played.
No, not once.
So what was like? What's the point of that? Why'd we make the trade? Was it bailing out St. Louis?
Yeah, which if that's the case, I'm not a fan of that.
No.
You know, but I don't know. I just I really it would be nice to see him play.
Yeah, and everything we've heard is that Logan has cleared concussion protocols.
Yeah.
What are we? Why? Why are we just
What are
completely
we
uninvested in defense again?
what are we doing?
It's not like it's paying off for us. We win a game, we
No.
lose a game. We beat the team we're supposed to. We looked more competitive against Baltimore, but choked it away in the end because of bad defense.
Yeah. Yep.
That's right where I'm on. And what needs to change is this the same thing we've been banging a drum about all season is the defensive play in our defensive third is sloppy.
Yeah.
And Juan and Nelson can't anchor it by themselves.
Yeah, no, they really can't. Like they're going to try. Don't get me wrong. They're not, they can't.
Yeah, you saw it in the Baltimore game. Juan looked gassed at times,
Yes.
especially towards the end. And we've said before, Nelson's 46, Father Time's undefeated. He'll make some good plays. He's also going to have some where his age shows and he gets burned.
Yeah. And then we've definitely, we've seen that happen, not time and again, because I mean, he has his moments, and then there's other times when he doesn't.
Yeah, and you're not going to be playing Harrisburg in the playoffs. You can't expect to put up a dozen goals.
No. Yeah, we already know that they're out. So
Yeah,
you know, the people that we're going to be playing against are, no matter which one it is, are all ones that have beaten us.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. What's our positive takeaways?
the improvement yet again of our power play. We are now up to a whopping 27, basically, if you round, 28% on the power play, which is a huge difference from a few weeks ago when it was, was it 7% or was it like
It was
3?
7%. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So
awful.
we have actually passed both Harrisburg and Kansas City for power play percentage, which
Mm-hmm.
is surprising. Maybe not the Harrisburg one because it's we know Harrisburg, but Kansas City passing them on power play percentage is surprising. That
Mm-hmm.
one surprises me. We're still not great on the penalty kill, sitting at 71%, just shy of 71.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not by far the worst. So
Right.
So yeah, for me, positive takeaway. I was super happy that we capitalized on both of our power plays, one per game. just because that's something we've wanted to see for years.
Mm-hmm.
Is more consistency on that. That's what I was. My brain was a little behind. I had to finish that thought. So yeah,
Okay.
that's mine.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest one is we clinched a playoff spot. I'm not going to take that, but that's obviously the easiest one.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy one.
Um, Nilton continues his hot second half.
Yep.
So I talked about last year he had a slow start, and so I wasn't too worried about his slow start this year.
Nope.
He was since since the calendar turned over, he's only been held off the score sheet 3 times, and that includes goals in 8 of the past 9 games. He's at 23 goals on the season. He had 26 last year. The biggest place he's seen points regression wise is in assists. He's got 7 versus 15.
Hmm.
And yeah, we talk about it where these guys haven't been making that extra pass like we saw last year.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if it's because there isn't Frank, there isn't Kelvin. They're putting a little too much pressure on themselves to be that guy to step up.
Yeah. I mean, but we've also seen sometimes where we get that extra touch that was completely unnecessary.
Right.
So what's the balance? You know, it's in the moment. Like we can talk all day after the fact, but in the moment, would we know which decision to make? You know, try it
Mm-hmm.
ourselves or pass it. And I mean, for some of them, that's going to come with practice. That's going to come with experience, which not all of them are going to. Not all of them have yet. A lot
Right.
of these guys are newer.
I was about to say we have seen an uptick in assists in the second half of the season as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, to kind of rounding this corner, um, he had 2 assists this past game, one of which was on the goalie goal from Andrew Coughlin.
I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that Andrew scored one. Oh, that was great.
As the Aussies say, it was a right ripper.
Yeah, it was.
Um, that's this weekend. And then the rest of the league happened. So we're going to check in on the playoff standings. Chihuahua, San Diego, we talked about it last week. They're locked up as the 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
They're still locked up as the 1 and 2. Chihuahua needs 4 points in Harrisburg in 2 games this weekend to clinch the 1 seed.
Which they could absolutely do.
Seems pretty likely that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to rule out that they would have issues. I think if Harrisburg has a chance to win either one of these games, honestly, I think it's their first one against Chihuahua, and the reason being, honestly, is the difference in their field. Like, you know, these guys are not going to be used to their turf and the hardness of it, the bumps, the unevenness of it, and
Right.
that honestly could play into their favor quite well because they are used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, Harrisburg does have a game 2 nights before, so they've got a game Thursday night. So I mean, they might be slightly tired, but not nearly as much as they would have been if they had a game Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think, not that we're making predictions, but I think Harrisburg could potentially steal that one. I mean, we did. Not to say that, eggs to, or, apples to apples, but it's possible. But that's the one that they would have to win. And if they take that, then who knows what will happen with those top 3.
Mm-hmm. That brings us to the number 3 seed, Kansas City. They could have locked it up this weekend, and instead they dropped both of their games by a single goal.
Yeah.
Um, we've talked about Shane Butler and Utica's San Diego screw job, and I can't come up with anything clever to describe what happened in Tacoma on that first one. Like I'm just calling it the Tacoma touch, where there was an alleged handball in the box. I
Yeah.
say alleged because on replay, there's one angle, and it is not conclusive
No.
at all.
Which I can't remember was it was challenged as being a handball. Like it wasn't initially
No, it
called as
was
one.
referee initiated. Just like, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they need 5 points to clinch this 3 seed this weekend. They play us on Friday night, then they travel to Baltimore on Sunday.
I think personally, if we don't get the job done, I think they'll struggle down there.
Yeah, it's that'll depend on what Baltimore. Yeah, it's 5 points either way.
Right.
Um, Baltimore's the next closest. They can get 48 points. After that, it's Milwaukee and Utica at 45, and Kansas City's at 44.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that I don't know. I think that game, the comments at the Blast will be interesting too, because that'll also be the Blast third game in 3 day
In four
in
four
four
days,
days.
yeah.
So that I say that if we don't get it done, Baltimore I think they'd struggle down there. Baltimore's also going to be freaking tired.
Mm-hmm.
So that
And with the playoffs, depending on like if you're locked into the 4 or 5 seed at that point,
yeah.
do you just rest and know that you're going to be playing whoever's in that other spot?
Yeah, I think like for us with the Comets, I think it's gonna be I think it'll be interesting to see who travels for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if which actually I mean the whole team is probably going to travel because whoever doesn't play one day will probably play the next day and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of it's going to hinge on how the Heat game goes with Baltimore. I think if Baltimore wins that one, then maybe Kansas City goes a little harder with us.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't, if Baltimore drops that one, which they have,
Mm-hmm.
um, then maybe Kansas City doesn't push as hard against us, or maybe doesn't play as many against us because they'll feel better about that third seed lock.
Right.
Because then if they think, well, we can take care of business against Baltimore on Sunday, so that means that they can't catch us. And I don't know. I think that could shape up the weekend a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really tightly packed in here.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, they have 2 games left. They're a home and home series with St. Louis.
Yes.
St. Louis wants to make the playoffs. They really need to win both of those.
Mm-hmm. And it
But
doesn't really matter to. I don't know if it necessarily matters to Milwaukee if they do, but placement.
mhm, placement, yeah. Unless you're looking at it like, okay, well, Kansas City's been struggling. Baltimore has been all right. I know we just beat them, but they left a lot of their experienced players at home.
Yes.
Do we try to drop down to 6 and get KC in the 3 spot? It's Baltimore hasn't looked great on the road. Milwaukee has looked. I'd put them as the dark horse outside of the top two
Yeah.
to make it to the finals. Um,
And actually, with you saying that about Milwaukee, um, also gunning for maybe gunning for that 3 spot. Um, maybe then Kansas City, maybe that changes what Kansas City does. Like I was talking about, where if Baltimore drops one, well, you still have Milwaukee on the board too. That could knock them out of it. Not that it
and
makes a ton of difference, but
the big thing for Milwaukee this weekend, though, is because of their agreement and they're playing St. Louis, Frank Taiu can't play.
That is right.
which is a dumb Bush League thing. It's one thing if you're loaning him and he's going back to the team. You traded his rights away.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to restrict what games he can play in. That's garbage.
Unless it was terms of the contract, which it would have been. Terms of the trade contract. They can still.
That's still
I get it, but they can
that's
can
still
set.
garbage.
I get it, but
It's
they
not like
can
you're
set
playing
terms.
someone in the division. Like that's something where the commissioner and the head of the league needs to step in and not allow it. Like
I don't know. I'm more leaning towards they can make their terms, and Milwaukee has agreed to them as an organization. But what I don't agree with was that they didn't basically tell him from the look of his post is that they didn't, or nobody told him.
Yeah.
Like that I don't agree with. I understand people setting contract terms. I get that.
I mean, if you're doing it one way, it needs to be both. All right, well, you're getting Robert Williamson. He can't play against us.
Yeah,
It
fair's
has
fair.
to. Yeah. It's Bush League kind of practices.
Yeah. I'm just saying I get it. Like I'm just kind of arguing against you for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
Because I can.
So most likely Kansas City gets the 3 seed, barring them dropping both games and Baltimore jumping them, or Milwaukee jumping them, or potentially Utica jumping them.
Yeah.
But all these teams, none of them can go lower than the 6 seed.
Correct.
So they'll all be playing on the second day out there.
Yep.
Where it gets really interesting here is at the bottom. Like we said, St. Louis can make the playoffs.
Yep.
They need 5 points. I'm not sure how the regulation wins and head to head would break down with Empire. I didn't look that far into it.
Yeah.
But 5 points gives them a shot, depending on what Empire does.
Empire's got one shot, one opportunity.
Empire has one game, and it's Saturday night, and it would tie them in points with Utica, but Utica would have them on regulation wins,
Right.
which is why 6 seed. And they play at Dallas.
Yes.
So, barring an upset, Empire will break their streak of missing the playoffs and come through here in the final game of the season.
Yep.
Now, if you're the sidekicks, do you just want to like ruin their lives? That would be an awful way to go out.
That'd be mean. Don't do it to my boys. Don't do it. Don't do it to them. Or better
Tacoma.
yet, I mean, Empire, just don't let them do it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and then last team we haven't talked about is Tacoma. They're sitting at 32 points right now.
Mm-hmm.
If St. Louis picks up 3 points, or no, I don't know what the head-to-head would be on that. Again, that's a weird one. So 3 points would get them ahead of Tacoma. And Tacoma's final game...
Say it.
It's not great for Tacoma. It's the last game of the season. We'll know how much it matters at 9:05 Eastern on Sunday night when they head to San Diego.
Yeah. Oh, they've got a hill to climb depending on what San Diego wants to do.
Mm-hmm. This one could get very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games this week. Still a lot to be decided. We have 1 game tomorrow, 3 on Friday,
yep,
2 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. All around Utica having the Frozen Four in town.
Yes.
For the D3 Frozen Four.
I was actually talking to somebody about that today. I was honestly a little surprised that we didn't get knocked out in relegated down to Nexus, but I think maybe season ticket sales or season ticket holders most likely, I would think, impacted that.
Mm-hmm. Part of it is, yeah, obviously more season ticket holders than can sit in that arena.
Yeah.
The other thing is, for it to happen, the facility has to be available to all four teams,
Ah,
and it'd be too much of a scramble. Yes, there are four teams coming to Utica this weekend for the college hockey championships for D3.
mhm.
On Friday at 3 o'clock, Hobart will play SUNY Geneseo, and then Utica Pioneers will play Curry at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
The winners from those will advance to the championship game on Sunday, which is at 7 o'clock, and it'd have to be hosted in the same arena as the other two games.
Has to be in the same place, basically.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
couldn't put Utica in Nexus for. You'd have to put soccer in Nexus for two games.
Mhm.
And when you're averaging over 3,000 ticket sales,
Yeah. You're not going to do that.
you're not going to lose that much money.
No.
Uh, there will be watch parties in 72 for all those hockey games for anyone in town.
Okay.
Um, it still see I don't. Monday I was told one thing, today I was told another, so I don't actually know for sure what time we're opening on Friday. It seems to be in flux because whatever happens, happens. Uh,
That sounds normal.
yeah.
Bring cheese fries.
Uh-huh.
Tell her no. No cheese fries.
Brandon says no cheese fries.
Yeah.
And I'll just have rum again.
No, thank you.
All the rum.
Yeah, that's this weekend. There's a lot going on in Utica. I mean, you if you have Friday off, you could catch the first hockey game, catch the soccer game, end up at 72 for the post game for the Utica Pioneers and Utica soccer game.
Yep.
Saturday, you got the Comets. And Sunday, if you were fortunate enough to get tickets to the final, you could, in theory, watch the soccer game, grab a bite in 72, and then walk down to the other end of the block and catch the hockey game.
Watch Krasnick instead.
That, yeah, is also an option. They
I
have
was
the
gonna
doubleheader
say.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
There is a lot of action going on this weekend for sports in Utica.
Yeah. It's great. It's going to suck when it's over.
Uh-huh. Yeah, when it's over, and I'm not working 14s, that'll be awful. Definitely didn't work 39 hours in 3 days this weekend.
Yeah. Fun times.
Anyway, weekend preview. Brad, we got to do our scoring here.
Yeah, which totally the scoring for this past weekend was totally easy and just super simple to figure out who won the games this weekend. I mean, Matt took Sunday, no question. Like that one's fine. It's the Harrisburg one that just decided, hey, you wanted this to be simple trying to score these? No.
Yeah, no, we both picked Utica to win.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, well, we'll split this on who was closer overall. So we'll look at total points and spread. And Brandon got the spread exact.
Yep.
But he missed on the total by 4.
Yep.
And I missed on the total by 1, but I was off on the spread by 3. So we're still tied. So I've decided we're going to leave it up to fate for the option to tie.
So before you do this, my option was just we both get a point, and that way he takes the lead. That way at least there's a clear winner. But he didn't want to do that.
No.
I tried to end the chaos.
We got ourselves a quarter here from the year 2000. It's Massachusetts. Brandon, heads or tails?
I mean, I can't call it an air, but heads.
Heads. It's fine. And I lost it.
And you dropped it.
I flicked it behind me. All right, we'll try this again. Because, heads I win, tails you lose. All right. All right, caught it. Flip it. You ready for the reveal?
Sure.
Heads. You get the point.
Gosh dang it.
So we go into the final weekend, tied. 2 games left. On Friday night, Kansas City comes to town. Utica lost to them 4-3 in Kansas City. We lost to them in the playoffs last year.
Mm,
We have a 3-game losing streak against the Comets.
mm.
Does that change?
Um, I mean, so one thing to note about them, I did just check the availability report,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm assuming this is accurate. Um, but I did see that Leo Acosta is going to be out. Henry Ramirez, Ajimadu is doubtful, and the other ones are questionable or probable. So none of them
Mm-hmm.
are big players, except for like maybe Lucas Souza. But Acosta is one of their top 5, and the fact
Mm-hmm.
that he's out, that could be a problem for them, but probably not. I forget. Did we see Rian Marquez come back yet?
Um,
I didn't watch. I'll be honest. I did not watch the Tacoma games.
I turned on the first one with like 3 minutes left. Saw Tacoma go up 4-3, and well, this one's over. And then tried to go to sleep.
He did not
Um,
play the second game in Cable
okay.
Dahmer. So, or wait, I was looking at the wrong team. Yeah, he did. He did play. So he played on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And congratulations to him. He just had a child.
yes.
Saw that on the Insta stories. Rianne's kid, Gordy's kid, and Andrew's kid can all be best of friends in the future.
Or bitter rivals.
Or bitter rivals.
And then of course you also have to factor in Steph is also, doing pretty well
Mm-hmm.
in Kansas City as well. But it also all boils down to who do they want playing, and how hard are they going to be pushing for this, because in reality none of these, they matter but they don't. They matter for placement and maybe pride,
Right.
but otherwise, how hard are you really going to push in these games? And that goes for both teams. But
Mm-hmm.
we also know that our B string does pretty well. They can do pretty well. They're hungry. So this could be a great showcase for them. I'm going to say right now that I think Gordy and Vinny, or at least Gordy sits. I don't know, maybe not. I'm not sure about Vinny. Um, and maybe he plays the Outlaws, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. They might
Mm-hmm.
sit him all weekend. I'm gonna say 6-5. I'm gonna go Utica.
Okay.
I'm gonna say we break the streak, and it's not a high scoring game. It's not it probably will be a rough and tumble game between these two, but yeah, I think 6-5 is a solid score for these two.
Okay. Um, Look, I'll say this: Kansas City's 1-5 since they played us last.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of got punched in the mouth in this last game against Tacoma when they were at home playing the second half of that back-to-back home and home series.
Yep.
And like you said, they're down a couple guys, but they got a couple additions
Yeah, they do.
and returnees. If I'm Utica, and it seems likely that we're going to match up with them in the first round, I don't want to show my hand.
Yeah.
I will throw the B squad against this team. You're at home. Hope that the crowd can carry them, and hope that they're maybe a little more focused on the playoffs than this game right now.
Yep.
Just make it competitive. I would say Kansas City rights the ship on this one. 6-4.
Okay.
They still have Neto in goal, and as long as you don't get under his skin, he's a good goalkeeper.
Right.
Once you rattle him a little bit, the wheels can fall off. But we also saw how well he played in the All-Star game when there wasn't, a lot of pressure.
Right.
And there's not a lot of pressure on this game ultimately.
Yeah. But as you did say, if you can rattle him, it can make all the difference. We've seen it.
Yeah. Then you get Sunday. Texas comes to town.
Yeah.
And they're we said they're gutted. They played you well at their turf. But that's kind of like the Harrisburg turf. It's on a rodeo instead of an arena.
Right.
And it took Utica a little time. If they didn't look impressive, they got the win. I Texas just got blown out. Absolutely blown out.
Yeah, they did. They
14-2.
Had a rough one against the Wave.
Like their saving grace as far as standings goes is that they play Dallas 6 times, and Dallas is also one of the bottom of the league teams.
Right.
Like Harrisburg would look better if they got to play another Harrisburg.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
6 times, but they don't. And in the games where they haven't played Dallas, they've lost 8 not like this is going back to the start of March. So they lose 8-0 at Empire. They lose 14-7 at home against Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
They lose 12-4 at home against Texas.
Mm-hmm.
They lose 11-5 at home against St. Louis, and then they lose 14-2 against Texas or at Milwaukee.
Yep.
This should be a blowout. Whether you play your main guys or continue to rest them ahead of the playoffs. Utica wins 12-7.
Interesting. Yeah, you're definitely going for a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be more of a blowout. I think it's going to be like 40.
Okay, great. I got you. Brandon has it a 40-goal game. That'll give me that win. And then watch, it'll be like that M2 game that just ended like 32-8 or whatever.
When I ended up getting the coin toss, I was literally just thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm gonna make like a 40-goal prediction over the weekend. I don't care which one it is. Somebody's getting like 10 hat tricks.
No, because if we end in a tie, we still have the playoffs.
Yeah, but we're tied in the regular season.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, and I see where you're going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a pretty good chance that it ends in an odd number of games.
Yeah. It has in the past, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Based on history.
So, my prediction for this game, I don't see it being anything crazy. I mean, I think this is going to be one that's going to play out exactly like you expect it to, which is, a team in higher standing overall versus one of the lower teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're just barely better than Harrisburg on paper, but boy, that goal differential. It's minus 106 for their goal differential, so a lot different than like a negative 46 for Harrisburg. And I mean, they on paper they don't really have anyone particularly of note for this game that's going to give them the edge. I mean, they've only got a few people with double-digit goals. That's about it. Granted, so do we, but Anyway, what did you say? 12 what?
12-7. More just that I think this is a chance where we might see Andrew Taylor in goal. Even if it's for half a game, and with our limited defense, it could be.
If that was the case, I would actually go something like 11-8. I still think we
Okay.
get double digits. If we do see Andrew Taylor in goal, then I would say something like 11-8. I'm not going to obviously give you two predictions because that's not fair, but
Right.
one with Andrew Taylor, one without. But I think this is a perfect opportunity to just put him in. Like, put him in, let him get some game time because you never know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we may need him. So put him in. Just put him in for this game. And if we get scored on, we get scored on as long as we score more times than they do. So yeah, I'm saying 11-8. A little bit smaller on the goal differential, but still giving us double digits.
Mm-hmm. I guess there's one last thing I want to address, and I want to pull up the quote here quick,
I think I know exactly what you're pulling up.
and that is the Kelvin news.
Yeah, thought
A
so.
lot of fans are holding out hope that he can make it for the playoffs. Some of us were privately more pessimistic,
More so now.
but over the weekend, I spoke with a source, and they said that he had re-aggravated his injury and would not be available. And then just the other day, G3XFC, the team that he plays for and is the president of
Mm-hmm.
or captain, whatever, for in the Kings League Brazil, put out this statement. G3XFC informs that, unfortunately, due to a muscle injury, our president and player Kelvin Oliveira, K9, will be out of the first games of the Kings League Brazil.
Yeah.
After medical evaluations, the technical committee and the board decided together that K9 will need more time for a full recovery. In the meantime, Kelvin will continue to contribute to G3XFC training and focus on his recovery. We count on the support of our fans to see him back soon.
Yeah. So don't expect to see him playing for
Ah,
Utica.
so I will say that in our group chat, I gave the injury update that I had been given, and a certain someone's response was, "I'll believe it when I see it." Well, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know why we doubt my source yet. When I ask about it, they're like, "Okay, I saw his video on Instagram, and it looked like he had a little hitch in his step. Is that old, or did he?" And they're like, "Yeah, he re-injured."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's not gonna happen.
Unfortunately. Obviously, we wish Kelvin the best of luck,
Of course.
and hopefully things get cleared up. Because the other thing my source said is that uh, team president and owner Rob Esch had seen a video of Kelvin from like 6 months ago and thought it was recent, and was up in arms over him being potentially healthy and not in Utica. They'd be like, "No, no, no! Look at the date! Look at the date!"
Yeah. Calm down. He's
Which,
not doing a rug pull here.
to be fair, mm, now why would the team from Brazil mention that the MASL playoffs are involved? The Brazil league starts this weekend, so it already overlaps with the MASL,
Yeah.
and he's going to go whichever place is paying him more. And I would almost bet both my legs that it's the place that made him team president and is funded by very wealthy Brazilians. I believe that's the Neymar team. Let me check. Neymar, Brazil, Kings League. Furia Kings League. Okay, no, he's the president of Furia.
But still, I get where
Yeah,
you're going with that.
yeah. That has international football star money and not NHL goalkeeper money. And that has a lot to do with just inflation of player pay over the past 20 years.
Right.
I mean, I could sum it up just with baseball. We're in like 2007, 6, something like that. Yankees fans couldn't believe that they gave oh God, what was the pitcher's name? They gave this guy like a 3-year, $39.5 million deal,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Oh my God, you overpaid, you overpaid, you overpaid." And now the highest paid pitcher the past couple years has gotten like $43 million a year. I was
Dang.
like, yeah, yeah, these guys are making more in 1 year than they were in 3 years back then. So
Hmm.
you go where the money is, unfortunately.
Of course. I mean, that's not just a league, but anything, any job or
Yeah.
sport or anything like that. You're gonna go to, unless you have some other attachment.
Hmm.
Um. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it's gonna be.
God, what was it? That's the wrong button. Wasn't this guy, was it? It might have. No. Yeah, whatever. I'll remember who it was at some point. Not that it's relevant. But yeah, so he's out. That's a rough injury to recover from if it is the muscle that I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looked like his quad. Those can linger for a long time. And the fact that it was re-aggravated tells you that he was trying to make it back, whether for us or G3XFC, and pushed too hard and ended it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the crux of attempting of trying to come back. Um. Is you try and work as hard as you can to come back, but sometimes you end up pushing too hard.
Hmm.
I from the get-go, before any of these videos or not videos but the posts and stuff came up, I was pretty pessimistic myself that we were going to see him, just for the simple fact that
Pavano.
if things were overlapping, I
Yeah.
didn't expect to see him anyway, whether he was healthy or not. So it would have been great. It's definitely somebody we could need, but I could also see it being a problem, if if he does come back,
Mm.
because then we have to shake up the offense again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think like, I didn't expect to see him back, and then the confirmation, at least the apparent confirmation seems to suggest the same. So I don't know. It would be a Royal Rumble return level of ridiculousness to see him come back for the playoffs in Utica. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah. Good times.
Just goose fraba, everybody. Goose blah blah.
Now, let's light this puppy. All right,
All right.
Friday night. Whole lot of fun. Like I said, watch party for the UU game. If you're going to be at 72, either before or after, get your reservations in ASAP because you're going to be competing with another 1,200 plus people. I know they did standing room only, so maybe 1,500 people
Yeah.
on top of the 3,000. Well, I don't know how many people would normally go to the soccer game that won't go to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That would go to the whatever overlap there is. Um, that's all there is, though.
Yeah, I don't plan on personally. I don't plan on going to 72, regardless of the result of the game on Friday. But I'm definitely planning on going Sunday. I got I got Monday off. Figure it's the last regular season game,
Yeah.
potentially very last time this season. We're gonna be able to see the guys afterwards. So I figure go over and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So definitely going to be making our way over after the game on Sunday for sure. But I don't think we're gonna be, at least me and Michelle probably won't be over afterwards.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah. Game Sunday is the last one of the year, so that's the one you really want to be there for post game.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. We'll see how this weekend shakes out. We'll be back next week, hopefully at a regular time. Hopefully. And then until then, see everybody at the odd if I can get out of the kitchen. If not, I'll be watching from the kitchen. Stop by 212, say hi to Brandon.
Yeah, I'll be hanging around. I love to. I'm sorry, did a door just creak in your background?
No.
I know it was the peanut gallery.
Grumbly.
I know it was the peanut gallery. It sounded like a very creaky door.
No, there was no creaky door here, just my creaky chair.
I was picking on her is what I was doing.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
She's very focused on her Disney Dreamlight Valley. Yeah, the hard part's going to be getting my spot back on the couch now that we're done.
Yeah, good luck with that.
All right. Until next time, like, subscribe. Follow us on the socials.
Yeah, do all that jazz.
And go Utica.
Sogs!
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing. Go Utica City.